Well, it was start chronologically. Alfonso and I met uh, in the '80s, and it was we heard about each other through mutual friends. And speaking for myself, I was like, "Who's this guy that everybody likes?" When you're 20 or younger, you're envious of everyone. You're like, "What? Why do people like this guy?" Right? And then we met in the waiting room of a TV program, and we became friends very quickly. And then Alejandro and I met because Alfonso called me and said there is this guy that made this movie called Amores Perros, and he's a goddamn genius, but he's really really stubborn, and he should cut the movie a little. And we have all decided that the only guy that is that stubborn is you, that you should go and make him cut something. And he gave me Alejandro's phone number and a VHS, which I still have, a VHS of the early cut of Amores Perros. And I called Alejandro. And Alejandro, why don't you tell the story?
It was Antonio Urrutia, no, Gordo? I think it was Antonio.
It was Antonio and Alfonso both. They said this guy, and they did say this guy is a genius, but he's the most stubborn motherfucker.
Look who's
which
who's
is true
talking.
to this
Look who's
day.
talking. So, before I met Guillermo, I went to LA to visit Alfonso, and yes, it's true that the film was was finished. I edit in my house for months and 8 months, but it need to be get it down. So anyway, I think Guillermo went incredibly generous, and we spent 3-4 days in the studio really discussing and trying to get a little bit consciousness of this stubborn guy that you are talking now. And he succeeded, I guess. And that's the film that we know now. Always the legend said that it was, how many minutes you said, Gordo? I think Gordo said that it's like 20 minutes or 15. I said that it was 7.
Listen, I still say it, and you should take me on it. I have the VHS.
Let's see it.
It was about 20 minutes. You may have put some back, and we flipped the bank robbery from one reel to another.
Maybe it was honestly, maybe it was a masterpiece, and you destroy it. Maybe what about?
I get inspired by them. There's a small chain, and I don't know if Alejandro will agree with this or not, but Alfonso and I discussed a one-setting thriller that I said, "Oh, I'm going to write it for myself," and he said, "Okay, I'm going to write one myself for me," and he wrote Gravity, and then I think Alfonso's experiments with the Splice take on Children of Man, which were, I think they are really incredible additions to the vocabulary of world film. But I think he actually brought in or refined that language in a beautiful way on Children of Man. And I think that somewhat inspired Alejandro, I think, for Birdman. And when I saw Alejandro's Birdman, I thought, I got to do Shape of Water. Because I was very afraid of doing Shape of Water for the number they were telling me, 19 and a half, which was a very tight number. And I said, Alejandro, how much did Birdman cost? And he told me, and he said something really great. He said, a budget is a state of mind. and I said, I can do it. So if you ask me, we're constantly inspiring each other, but Alejandro and Alfonso have really been tough with me when I make a mistake. I won't go into details because there's NDAs all over the place, but they have told me, don't do this, and I go and do it, and it's a mistake. We warn each other very lovingly, but very sternly.
I think the work of Guillermo and the work of Alfonso has always triggered in me inspiration and encouraged me to go further and learn about the approach, because as a filmmaker, you are growing as a person, and as a person, you are changing perspectives, ways to the way we live, the way we experience life, the way you have the things that has impact you psychologically, spiritually, physically. You start changing, and I think it's great that we have been sharing those shifts in our perspective of life, to be adapting ourselves to what we want to say, the way we want to say it, the way we can say it with whatever circumstances has a huge impact, right? You are going through periods in your life that you can get lost, or you can get in a very bumpy road, or you can be a little confused, or you can be super inspired. But I think we have been managing that. When somebody is really down, the other one is super high, and that guy can give you the hand and say, don't fuck around, don't get depressed, go up. You can do that, and they can open the door to see things that you are not seeing at that moment. And I think that's a gift, and I think that's a blessing. And I think one thing that is very important is that we do very different films, right? So we come from very different ways, and I'm just always in awe about what Guillermo do or Alfonso can do that I will never be able to do. And that's what I love about it. That it's things that I cannot even understand how it started, like Pinocchio for Guillermo, you just to see all these puppets and all this technology, all this approach about puppets and stop motion is something that I cannot even understand about. And for me, it's admire that and learn from that. So all those things, in a way, it's inspiring and a learning process, I will say. So I think it's a very rich, beautiful, blessing friendship.
I think that the thing is, it's more like a compliment. You're talking about the difference, but it's a compliment. A compliment in the sense that I think that we are very aware of our own limitations and of the other's strengths. So in that sense, even if we have a specific way of how to do cinema, each one of us, whenever we have a conversation, we understand where the other is coming from, and make and then the other one make us aware of the weakness of what we're doing, because each one has a different strength, and I think that is amazing, because then even if there's a disagreement because I want to do something specifically, he's already putting a red flag about something that I have to be more cautious about. That maybe his solution is not the solution I'm looking for, but that there's a big red flag over there.